Welcome to the LPAC. We're members of the Long Beach Latino Democratic Club's Legislative and Political Action Committee, and we're here to talk about voting, especially in the June primary. We got to start there. I'm Herlinda Chico, resident of Long Beach for nearly 25 years, former LBCC trustee. I'm the founder of the Long Beach Latino Democratic Club. I live on the east side of the city in the 4th Council District.
And my name is Mario Solis Maric, and I'm chair of the Legislative Committee for the Long Beach Latino Democratic Club. And I live in Long Beach. I live in the 2nd District. For me, that means around Alamitos Beach area, over by Cherry and Bixby Park.
By the ocean.
By the ocean. That's right.
That's all you have to say, by the ocean. But we're here.
Over 20 years. I've been here for over 20 years.
See, we've both been here for quite some time. So
and
we've seen a lot of changes, right?
Right. And mostly positive. Yes. Some not so good.
Right.
But mostly positive.
And we have more work to do.
Lots.
And that's why we're here to make politics less intimidating and more accessible. So let's jump right into the June primary. And why does it matter? I think that some people tend to vote just in the presidential election every 4 years. So we're going to talk about why it's important to vote in every election. And the primaries, the June primary elections are like the playoffs, right? And they determine which candidates advance to the November election, which is for the championship. So in California, we have a top 2 system. The June primary can sometimes decide the winner. That typically happens when there's only one candidate in the race and one has to get over 50% or will get over 50%. And if a candidate is in a pack of candidates, one just has to reach 50 plus 1%. Then the election has been decided. And so campaigning can end.
That's right. So let me just jump in there for a second.
Yeah.
That hardly ever happens, right? Mm-hmm. Right. But when it does happen, it's a big deal.
Right.
Right. Because if someone's got 2 or 3 opponents and then suddenly 50% of the people looking at all those choices say, hey, that's the person, then that's a big deal. That hardly ever happens. Usually somebody gets 30%, somebody gets, 21% or whatever. And then boom, those people have to face each other.
And
regardless of the party. That's the beauty of it.
Right.
Regardless of the party. They just have to appeal to the voters.
Right. And we'll see that play out, right? In our several elections. In the 1st District, we have several candidates. In other races, there's only 2. So we'll see how that plays out. It's really interesting. So, it's Latinos have historically in this city had low voter turnout. So we want to talk about what the barriers are that have caused this. What is the cause for this effect that we're seeing where we have low voter
And we've
turnout?
seen this all over the place, right? That Latino, and it's almost like there's this rep that we have. Latinos don't vote, blah, 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 right?
Yes.
So I have a lot to say about this, but I'll try to keep it super short.
Okay.
Number one, you don't go to a party that you're not invited to.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you do.
But it could be
it could be a problem, right? But if you don't know the folks, if you don't know what's going on, you're not going to drop in on a party. And a lot of times, actually statistically, the majority of the time, our community is not even invited to vote. So believe it or not, you might be listening to this if you're a Latino voter. There are voters that get 12 different pieces of mail, and you might get one. That's because you don't vote, you haven't voted all the time, or et cetera, right?
Right.
So that's what happens. If you're not in the loop initially, it's hard to get in the loop. So that's the first thing. So it has nothing to do with, Latinos don't vote like it's a character flaw or there's something wrong with us or something like that, which it's often framed that way. The fact of the matter is, if you don't know what's going on, if people aren't telling you, you're not going to show up. And especially sometimes people find out the day after that, that there was an election, right? So that's one big issue. The other issue is that we have many people in our community that have more than one job, and it's hard to schedule voting, but there's a solution for that. I don't know when you want to get to that, but
let's talk about that, because we should have, other countries have voting on a Saturday, on a day where people are not working, to make it easier to go vote. So talk to us about that.
Well, the thing is that in California, and this is like unique to California, you could vote. We have a big window for you to vote in. We give you lots of different options on how to vote. You could vote by mail. You could stand in line and vote in person.
Right.
You could drop it into a little voter box, which is my favorite thing to do, right? And get out. But there's a lot you're going to get. If you're a registered voter, you're going to get a ballot in the mail regardless of whether you've ever voted or not, just because you're registered. Right? So when you look at that, don't toss it. This is your chance. You could just fill it out, put it in the mail, drop it off at a voting center, or if you want to be dramatic, you could wait till the last day and stand in line, and it's a good place to meet people. I've heard of some,
it is some hookups at the polling place.
The pollings, that's right.
Well, it is interesting that you say that, because I'll take my parents, for example. My mom will fill out her ballot and she sends it in. My dad likes to go to the polls on election day. That's what he has always done. This year is the first year, though, that he understands the stakes and has decided that he's going to mail in his ballot early. We just don't know what is going to happen, particularly at the federal government. Our postal service is under the federal government, and funding.
I am so glad I thought I was the only paranoid one in the room.
Oh,
there's two of us.
Yes, we have got to be watching out for all of this.
Yeah, could you want me to break that down a little bit?
Please
okay.
Do.
So that's why my favorite place to vote, if you go to a voting center, and in Long Beach especially, we've got a bunch of them.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so you go to a voting center, and then you they have their own little boxes. You could drop it off there. It's not the mailbox. It's a voting box.
Yes,
and that way the federal government never sees your ballot. It goes straight from that voting center to where they count the votes. And because we don't know what shenanigans the feds have in store for us in June, that's how important this election is.
Yes.
So there's, sometimes people don't vote. We're talking about why people don't vote. Sometimes people don't vote because they come to believe that their vote doesn't matter. Right. And I think that people need to know right now, and share this. I hope people share this. That is a ploy. The idea, this message that your vote doesn't count, is a ploy to get you not to vote.
Right.
That's how clever these guys are. Right?
Reverse psychology.
Yeah. It's like, it doesn't matter. That, you didn't think of that on your own. That was implanted in your head. Right. If you're, hundreds of millions of dollars will be spent on informing voters in this election throughout California. Hundreds. If your vote didn't matter, they wouldn't be spending the money to inform you about the vote, including those that are spreading the lie that your vote doesn't matter.
Right.
Your vote matters. You exercise that vote. What you were sharing with me earlier, Herlinda, that there's so many Latino potential voters in Long Beach, just Long Beach.
And that's what that's actually moving into our next topic about the reality and the opportunity of turning out Latino voters, right? So we know here in Long Beach that the population is 44% Latino.
That's right.
44%. When we look at voters who have not registered, so we're looking at the numbers, and we're estimating that there are approximately 15,000 Latinos in Long Beach who are eligible to vote, but are not registered. Wow. And when we look at the last Long Beach mayoral race, that was decided with 13,000 votes. Wow. So if we're talking about the impact of if all Latinos voted, we could determine the outcome of a lot of different elections, a lot of different races. That means we have more of a say when it comes to housing, small business practices, including our vendors that are out there, having strong leadership. And when we look at the leadership and who has been elected, Latinos have only been elected to city council districts 1 and 7. There are 9 council districts. all the Latino council candidates or council members we've ever had have only represented districts 1 and 7, and we're 44% of the population.
Wow, that's
so
nuts.
we do need to really engage. The Long Beach Latino Democratic Club is now engaging in voter registration drives. Some in the North Long Beach. I think the club is also going to West Long Beach. We have a voter registration drive. We'll be partnering with a food vendor up in North Long Beach, and we'll be providing a free taco or item at that vendor if you want to come and talk to us and register to vote. You don't have to register to vote.
So do I get a free taco if I go?
No, you're going to be working.
Okay.
So, no.
No tacos with the workers. Is that what I just heard?
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to the board. I'm going to talk to the board here.
Twisted that. But, let's talk about those historical barriers, lack of outreach. You talked a little bit about that. How can we improve that outreach here in Long Beach?
So it's up to all of us, right? So if you're hearing this message and you're saying, man, you're right, I missed the last 3 votes, or I haven't voted, it's no shame. Unfortunately, you're in a large group of people, right?
Yes.
Right? So when you decide to vote, when you get that ballot, text 3 people.
Yes.
Text 3 of your friends and say, hey, I got my ballot. Did you get the ballot? Let's see, who are you going to vote for? Let's make sure we turn them in. You could even set up a time like, let's go turn them in, because I like to do this thing where me and my partner, we go, we fill it out, we walk to the park, because there's always a place to deposit our ballots at the park. Mm-hmm. And then we go out and we grab a drink or something, right? Make like kind of happy hour evening of voting.
I know people do ballot parties too.
Ballot
families,
parties.
They all get around the table.
So it's basically up to us. There's that saying, each one teach one.
Yes.
You could turn it into a family event. You could turn it into a friend event. Because it's so important. I'm going to go back to something you just said. It is so important that our community's voices be heard. We know our community's hurting right now. I saw some stats last week about the way the price of gas is impacting specifically the men and women in our community. So, what can we do about stuff like that? Well, we have to get policymakers to move. But if they're thinking you're from a community that doesn't vote, they're going to move a little slower.
That's right.
Right? I'm not. That's just the way it's set up to it.
The wheel gets the oil.
That's right. And so all of the issues that we've confronted this last couple of years, right? And there have been many, from like getting picked up because you're a certain skin color, picked up because you're brown, to like the high prices, all of this stuff. This all happened within a short period of time because of the vote.
Right.
Because, it's never been more clear that this is about the vote.
It sure
And it could be undone with a vote as well.
We have to really...
You got to do it.
We have to be intentional, too.
That's right.
We have to uplift and encourage our family. To get out and vote, just like you said. So we know that some of the tias and tios are voting. How do we get all the primos to vote? Because, and calling them just may be
calling them.
That's right. What are you doing?
Election officials can't do this, but you can. You can throw in a 12-pack bonus.
That's right.
If you want.
Everybody come to the house.
That's right.
There's going to be tacos.
That's right.
And cerveza there.
You can have tacos except for Mario. Mario apparently can't have tacos.
We'll get you a taco, I promise. So let's talk about mail-in ballots. I think that's really important because for so long, Democrats, the Democratic Party here in California, they've been fighting to make sure that everybody got a mail-in ballot. And it was always told to us, it's too expensive, it can't be done, and then COVID happened.
Right.
And everybody got a mail-in ballot, and we haven't looked back. And the reason why Democrats were really pushing for mail-in ballots is because there is higher voting turnout amongst working people who typically register as Democrats. So we're seeing more Democrats turn out when there's mail-in ballot opportunities. And we see a large turnout in the Latino population.
Well, listen, once again, you said the key thing, don't put in that usual stack.
Yeah.
Put in the stack of stuff you like to read, or put it
on the fridge.
Put it there, think about it. and get some support. And don't be embarrassed to tell your friends that you're going to vote. There's also that counter, oh, it doesn't matter, and you hear all that stuff, right? I censored myself. I'm good.
Yeah.
So then, because be the first, be the leader.
Yes.
Right? Be the leader in your group of friends. Say, you know what, we got to do this.
Yeah.
Right?
But yeah, you can track your ballot. You can find out when the registrar recorder's office receives it.
Right.
And you get confirmation that your ballot has been counted. Now, one of the issues when people are going through their ballot is judges.
Oh my God.
Afraid of judges. How do you pick a judge, right? So what I have done in the past is I do have friends that are attorneys, and the LA County Democratic Party has a panel of judges that interview for the party's endorsement for all the judges. So I also refer to them if I don't have time to do my own research. What about you?
Yeah, that's super important. The Los Angeles County Democratic Party website is good. We should link to it on our Facebook page so people get to that.
Yes.
And also we'll put the ballot tracker on there.
Yes.
But I mean, it's extremely important. You know, at a certain point, unfortunately, in all our lives, we'll have some type of interaction with the judicial system. Hopefully it's civil, but sometimes it's criminal, but there'll be some interaction there.
Right.
You'll get sued. You'll want to sue somebody. Something will happen. Judges are so important. Judges that understand not only the law, but the context of our community are extremely important. And I have to tell you, I'm a big believer in really choosing good judges. So it's super important.
Well, and I've been following along a couple of judge races, and there is a couple of judges that are under investigation.
Right.
Have long
and they're still running.
And they're still running.
And they could still win.
Nobody pays attention to judges.
Right.
So, yeah, there is a huge problem that we're talking about the justice system and how it impacts, minorities, particularly Latinos. We've got to do better. We have to be watching out and doing our research on judges, because you're right. We're eventually going to have an encounter.
One way or the other.
Yes,
right. It's going to, hopefully it's positive, but, but I mean, it's never super positive, but hopefully you win.
I know. Even jury duty, right?
Oh, yeah.
We touched a little bit on it earlier. Because a lot of people vote in every 4 years in the presidential election. Right. But the president has less to do with our everyday lives than our local city council member.
Yeah.
How do we get that message across that every election is important, because that's our tax money? We're giving the money to our local elected leaders to decide on our behalves how they're going to use the money, right? We should have a say in it. So let's talk about how that affects housing and transportation and schools here locally.
Well, it's so important because, first of all, and I think everybody that lives in Long Beach really loves Long Beach, right?
Yeah.
But for some reason, there's like this hidden thing about Long Beach. The fact is that Long Beach is one of the largest economic engines for, the state, right? And the state is one of the largest economic engines in the world.
That's right.
So we are basically at the heartbeat of like creating wealth for this entire planet. And that's not an exaggeration. Those are stats. I could do a boring show and show stats and stuff. So I'll spare next time. Mario's boring show. Tune in for Mario's boring show.
But you'll have colored markers, and it'll be spectacular. We'll get you glitter markers. I've seen them.
But and here we are, right? And we're suffering for not enough jobs. We're suffering for lower pay. I mean, there's no reason. There's got to be a connect. And believe me, there are great people at the port. There are great people in the city that really want to connect with the community, right? But there's certain policies that need to be, shaped up to make that happen. Right. And the only way that we make those policies happen and make sure that there's some equitable, we're never looking for a leg. We're not really looking for a leg up. We're looking for an opportunity opening, right? For that opportunity to open for us right here in Long Beach to benefit from all the growth that we've seen here and all the prosperity that we create here. And if your city council person doesn't understand, then you need to get rid of them. I just put it out there, right? If they're not hearing you, or they're saying it's somebody else's problem or somebody else's department without actually walking you through that and helping you, work with that department, then that's a problem. That person just failed you.
Right.
And so the only way you could correct that is by voting. That's it. It's so important, right? And they set policies here. And believe me, when Long Beach speaks, the entire state listens.
Oh, absolutely.
You know this because you're in the mix. You're in the mix.
Well, yeah, but also, as
I'm just an innocent bystander.
No, well, I'll say bystander. Yes, bystander, which you aren't either. But when I was on the board of trustees at Long Beach College, it was really coming from teenage parents who didn't have the opportunity to further their education, their higher education, because they had to take care of me. It was really important that we brought resources to our student parents. We did that. We created an incredible model under the leadership of Dr. Mike Munoz. And it is now being looked at our state legislature to be modeled after. Our Assembly member Josh Lowenthal is saying that's a great idea. We should try to see how we can implement that. So again, there is policy that is being developed in Long Beach all the time in different aspects, not even just city council, at the school district, because we have one of the largest school districts. And then at the community college and at Cal State Long Beach. We really, let's, not even forget the port and the environmental issues. Right. So we do set the standard in various industries on different policy issues that affect different things of everyday life for Long Beach residents.
Right. And the thing that I always try to, let people know is that this is not a conversation. You might feel like, oh, wow, that's something that other people are doing, or this is you. You own this city. You own this council.
That's right.
Right? Whether you're a renter or a homeowner or whatever. Right. You own this city. And, a lot of people are banking on you not knowing that. We're going to tell you it like 200 times. Yeah. This is your city. You have your rights. You also have your responsibilities.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. Well, I think it's important before we start to wrap up to talk about some of the important dates that are going to come up. Our sample ballots are mailed out on May 12th. So that's really important. It's your workbook, right? Right. You go and you can research, and it's easy to take it in with you to the ballot box. And then the ballots actually drop on May 4th. Right. So we have to watch that.
By the time you watch this, it might be,
That's right. Could be receiving their ballots already. And then the last day to register to vote is May 18th.
And once again, let me put on my tinfoil hat here.
Yes, go.
Do not wait till the last minute.
No.
And if you can, drop off that ballot in the county ballot box.
Yes. We're really excited about being able to have conversations about local politics with residents here in Long Beach. The Long Beach Latino Democratic Club is open to everyone, Latinos, allies. It's really important that we get everybody together at the table and really work on these issues. We really want to uplift community stories because there are so many organizations, groups, individuals that are doing impactful work here in Long Beach. And we want to make sure that we're doing that as well.
Sounds awesome. So I just have some questions for you.
Yeah.
Okay. When was the first time you voted?
When I was 18.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I grew up Jehovah's Witness.
Right. By the way, so did I.
Yeah. Oh my.
Remember?
Oh, that's right. You did tell me that.
And by the way, this is not a ploy. We're not secret recruiters.
No, we're
Ding
not.
dong. But go ahead.
I'm knocking on doors to register voters now and talk about candidates. No, but growing up Jehovah's Witness, we don't participate in the process.
Right.
And so that was not a priority growing up until I became a teenager, and my aunt, who was very involved in politics, started to get me involved. I worked a couple of check-in tables at political events, worked on my first campaign when I was 20 years old for Kathleen Brown when she was running for governor.
Wow,
Yes.
good for you.
I know I look good, but I'm old. I'm old. Been around a while, but those types of things. It's all it takes is one encounter that is going to open your eyes.
Right.
To the importance of voting and participating in the process. So for me, I go beyond just voting. For me, I volunteer on campaigns. I'll donate to campaigns where people represent my values. So not everybody has to do that, but at the very least, we have to turn in that ballot.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's kind of my background in voting. I voted right when I was 18 because I really didn't, that wasn't emphasized. So I threw myself a birthday party and I voted.
That's awesome.
Yes,
That's only JWs.
Yeah,
only you know.
exactly.
Only you know what she's talking about. Yeah.
That's very
the first time I voted, I was 18 as well.
Really?
Yeah, the first one. I just couldn't. And I think it hadn't been here, talk about, being a little mature. I think it was one of the first cycles where 18-year-olds could vote. It had to be one of the first 3 or 4 before you had to be 21.
I didn't even realize that
you had to be 21, and then but we were sending during Vietnam 18-year-olds and really 17-year-olds off to be off to this war to die.
Right.
And so people started saying we're sending these people off and they don't even have the right to vote. So they changed it, and I don't remember, but it might have been maybe 2 or 3 cycles later that I was actually 18. I have to check that out, but it was early. So I registered to vote. My dad flipped out. My dad was he was also a JW. He was an elder.
Oh,
right. So
wow.
he was like really not happy. But I really felt it was important to participate. Right.
Yeah.
And the first time I voted, I didn't vote as a Democrat. I voted as an independent.
Oh, interesting.
And I really regretted it because not only did my candidate lose, but Reagan won. And that's a whole other story.
But, that was before you knew how the process worked.
Right.
Now you know how the process
works. Yeah. And we need to do a show about what, how important it is, to vote consistently in a certain way and how the leadership comes about. It's a whole different thing. But I was very excited about my vote. I voted, I think his name was Anderson. I voted for Anderson for president, but I was never involved, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, I definitely would, I was one of the presidential voters, right? A presidential year, I would vote. I wouldn't vote, for, any other time until the AIDS crisis. Oh. And when the AIDS crisis happened, right, and when it really hit the Latino community in LA County, it really impacted my friend group, my family group. Yeah. And so I started volunteering, and I, just to help out and do stuff. And I realized how screwed up everything was. Right. Because, and that's like, once again, that's not only, I think it's a whole podcast series, but just to let you know, it was really screwed up and it was very painful. Yeah. And so I just got, I just threw myself into it. Right.
You sure did. Yeah. Now you're like a nationally recognized political.
But so I did live I was not politically active. Right. I was that every 4 year, I'll show up to vote. Right. But when I saw the impact that policy was having on my family or my
Right.
friends.
Right.
I just, that's when I jumped in.
Wow.
So don't wait for a crisis.
No.
That's the thing. Policies are impacting your family today.
That's right.
And if they're not fixed, if something goes wrong, which in life things go wrong on a massive scale, whether it's AIDS, COVID, this self-imposed recession thing we got going on right now, inflation thing. Don't wait till it gets bad. Let's fix it now. Let's choose good people. Let's choose people that are responsive to us.
That's right.
Right.
I love it. I love it. Well, we're going to...
I think that's it.
Yeah, we're going to keep going and come back with more topics. So share all of this information, like our social media accounts, and follow us. So thanks so much, Mario. I appreciate the conversation.
Great. It was great time. By the way, you look great.
Thank you. So do you.